Hello, everyone. My name is Christy Cato, and I'm an author. Matter of fact, a lot of people know me for my number one book, The Dance of My First Love. Um, this is the book that has my heart the most because this is where it started. The dance is loosely based on my first love that I had years ago between me and another female because I do write for the LGBT world. Um, it is also the first in a 8-book series. So far, there are 3 of these books out in my series, and we're going to touch on all of them. I'm going to read a little bit from the first book and some from the second book and give you a few things about the third book. And then when the fourth book is coming out, hopefully sometime at the beginning of next year. But let me start with who I am, where I came from. My name is Christy Cato, like I said before. Born and raised in California. I was born in Los Angeles, California, raised in San Diego. Um, Been around for a while. That's my easy way of not giving out my age. Known for that. I started writing after being laid off of a job. I used to work for Hollywood. My last job was on a television show. I was on there for 5 seasons, and it was during the whole recession thing where everybody was losing their jobs, and I was one of the many that lost her job. From that point on, I proceeded to try and find a job for the industry on my computer, and while doing so, I found myself writing a story, um, eventually, which would lead to the book I was speaking of, the first one, The Dance of My First Love. Um, the thing about this book is when I wrote the story, it wasn't intended to be a book, to be honest. It was just, I had my heart broken so many years ago, and I never dealt with it. I just kept rolling with the punches, just kept rolling and working a lot, went through some bad relationships after that, which I can't say love was involved, but still everything led back to my first love. So many years later, when I finally got a moment to sit down and think and not work and be caught up in a relationship, I found myself pouring my heart out on the pages of my laptop. As I was writing it, my sister would call. She lives in Atlanta to check on me. By the way, I want to do a shout out to her. Today's her birthday. Happy birthday to my sister, Stephanie Kellogg. And she was reading it as I was writing it. I would write a few pages or write whatever I wrote all day, then I'd email it to her. And with the time difference, she would actually go ahead and read it when she got up in the morning, and then she would ask for more. So it just became my routine. Now, when I was done writing it, she talked me into making it into a book. Now, of course, me not being a writer, I'm not a traditional writer. I didn't go to school for writing. I never thought about writing. This is not something I said, oh, one day I'm going to write myself a book. Never thought of it. It just happened. She wanted me to make it to a book, so I thought to get her to be quiet about it, satisfy her, I would send it off to a self-publishing company, pay for it to be published, and give her a copy. I'd get a copy, and then she'd be quiet. That'd be the end. Well, they say God moves in mysterious ways, and sure enough, she got it. I got it. She was happy she had a copy, but then someone else got it off of Amazon and read it and fell in love. Next thing I know, more people were reading it, and it was just going on and on and on. I had no idea that people would love this book so much, The Dance My First Love. And what I've come to learn is that so many other people had such that strong heartbreak as I did. Um, but no one ever talks about it. And one of my fans told me in I'm not going to say verbatim, but in so much in these words that for years, they've been trying to tell people how they felt about their heartbreak, or every time they break up, they have friends that would say, oh, get over it, move on. How you get over one person is you get under another. But in their mind, it didn't work, and in their heart, it didn't work. And no matter who they talked to, people just didn't seem to get it. So when they read the book, they finally identified to somebody they felt that gets it. And I think that everybody goes through that. If you ever went through your first heartbreak, you're going to go through it. And you're going to feel like it's the end of the world. You can't go on. To the point where you can't even breathe, and either you're going to fake it or you're going to deal with it. And I suggest you deal with it, because here I am years later. You know what they say, you never get over your first. But I have to accept it, and I have accepted it. You know, that the person I was with, the person that I love, the person that I still love to this day, she's married, she has kids. You know, I haven't seen her since she left so many years ago. I do have to say I miss her. I miss that companionship. I miss that closeness, you know, and not to mention she was also my best friend at the time. So it was like you lose two of the one. You lose your best friend and you lose, you know, your lover. So in that case, with that said, it sent me to explore a lot about my writing and what was going on in the world. I started seeing the lessons that we go through. I started seeing different things. And once I finished writing this book, it led me into not feeling like I was satisfied. It wasn't that I wasn't happy with the book. It's just that there was more inside of me. And so that's when I wrote part two, and which is called After the Dance, Kim's Story. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But for now, what I would like to do for everyone is I'd love to read a little bit from the book. And each book, actually, there's like 5 main characters. Well, I should say 7, since 7 to 8 books. And each person has their own book, which tells a story, and it grows with each book. It's not a reoccurrence in each book. They start where they left off. And in The Dance, My First Love, this is told by one of the young females that are in a relationship by the name of Carrie Reed, to be exact. And just to give you a little background on her, I'm going to read from the first few pages. Chapter 1, On My Own. Imagine being 6 years old, standing on a stage, looking out towards a room full of parents gathered to celebrate the first of what will likely be just one of many achievements of a child's first graduation. Kindergarten in California is an exciting time, not just for kids who get to wear white robes and receive little awards signifying they're moving on to the first grade, but also for parents, some of who bring flowers as they arrive and some who come with neatly wrapped gifts of celebration in honor of this special day. It can also be a sad day, especially for one little girl who woke up on this day knowing that before she left for school, her mother wasn't home, nor was she anywhere to be found. This was me, Carrie. Looking back now, I wonder how I was able to get myself up, make myself a bowl of cereal, take a shower, brush my sandy brown hair, shoulder length, and head off to school to my graduation. I was young and very used to taking care of myself. My mother was either drunk or hardly ever around. As most young girls are, I was a sweet girl who needed to be loved, and I continually looked for it from my mother, but couldn't seem to ever get it. It became easy to be quiet and reserved because I didn't have much interaction with other kids. I was petite, and as I was often told, I had the prettiest walnut brown eyes and always kept a smile on my face. I can recall hanging on to the hope inside that one day my own mother would see this in me and that one day she would love me. Now that just gives you a little background of, you can see how Carrie, she kind of grew up feeling alone. She was alone a lot because her mother wasn't around, and she was a latchkey kid. She didn't have any siblings. Um, Also, as time goes by, she meets a young lady by the name of Kim, and they meet in high school. So could you imagine, from Carrie being a kid all the way up to high school is when she, begins to meet somebody that actually shows her some attention and actually cares about her. And this young lady that she meets is the opposite of her as far as the way she grew up. She grows up, her name is Kim Springs. Her mother's a famous actress. So she grew up with a lot of money. Her very privileged, but this young lady is probably one of the most humble characters you will ever meet inside of a story. and her mom has taught her well. Um, she loves to spend time with Carrie. She loves to get her the attention. But what she doesn't realize is that Carrie has fallen in love with her along the way. And Carrie doesn't understand her feelings since she doesn't have anyone, never had anyone around to talk to her about it. So what she basically does is she just tries to spend as much time with Kim as possible by going to her house. Now, the great thing about Carrie going to spend time with Kim is now she's starting to discover all the things that she missed out on life growing up. And I mean something as simple as waking up to a hot meal. She didn't have her first hot breakfast cooked at home until she actually met Kim. And it was at her house that she spent the night, and the next morning she was surprised. She didn't know what to do. She just sat at the table waiting for this breakfast to be served by Kim's housekeeper, who did all the cooking and took care of a lot of things around their big mansion. But Kim always made sure she watched her very closely and saw the difference in her. And then one day while she's at home and she goes over to her house, she sees how her mom treats her, and she starts to put two and two together. She gets it. So Kim goes that extra mile into trying to show this young woman, some attention and treat her nice and give her all, some love, even as just a friend that she thinks she needs. But at the same time, Kim is falling madly in love with Carrie. And she gets to the point where she just wants to be around her. And because Kim in her past, even though she's only 15 years old, starting off as a character, she's had it in the past. She's had a girlfriend, she's had a boyfriend. And she knows what she identifies with now. She knows she's a lesbian. She knows that she loves women. But she also is a one-woman person. So she's not the type to go around and have a bunch of women. She actually has a bunch of, has this one girl that she's liking, Carrie. But she doesn't know how Carrie feels. Because Carrie is the exact of an innocent young woman. She's never had sex with anybody. Like I said, opposite of Kim. Kim has a little bit of experience. But all she knows is she wants to be with Carrie as much as Carrie wants to be with her. She just doesn't know that Carrie has the same feelings. And so when Carrie discovers what's really going on inside of her, she doesn't know what to do. Yet she meets a guy. Kim meets this guy in her class. It was very brief. All he asked her to do is hand a note to some other girl in the class. And Carrie sees this from a distance and gets jealous of Kim, so she becomes standoffish. And I think that's the turn of where they really start to identify their feelings. Why are we acting this way? Why are we being mean? Why are we being standoffish to each other? Because, hey, I'm jealous. Carrie's eyes is what she's saying. I don't want to give away too much, but I am going to read some more. There are ups and downs, roller coasters. The thing about this book, The Dance of My First Love, is I kept it very real. So there's no candy coating it. I'll be honest, there's sex in it because, when you're in a relationship and you're of a certain age, eventually you're going to have sex. And so they did, but except for in Kim's eyes, it was making love because she only makes love. And those are her words. Carrie was having her sex for the first time when she loses her virginity to Kim. And from that point on, she just falls mad in love. Now, they carry on this relationship through high school. It goes on to college and after college. They're inseparable. There's nothing in this world that can break them up. So it seems. Okay, and that's when we get into their roller coaster ride as they get older and the mistakes that they make along the way. Now, can we forgive each other? Some people can in life, some people can't. In order for you to find out if these two can, you'd have to read the book and go through this roller coaster life of Kim and Carrie. They also develop friends along the way. Michelle becomes a good friend of Kim's in the beginning, and of course Carrie, because she's so possessive, she becomes jealous because she realizes Michelle's just her friend. And then they hook her up with a young woman by the name of Vanessa, and they all become like really good friends, and it's a great little family they create. But there is a part in here in this book after the mistakes have been made that Carrie has made, shall I say, and she ends up writing a letter to Kim after Kim moves out. And I'm going to read that letter to you guys right now. To Kim, the love of my life, I want to start out by saying I'm very sorry that I hurt you. I can't believe the things that I did. You know, in life, some people say you're supposed to have regrets. But sitting here, you're not supposed to have regrets. I'm sorry, people. But sitting here right now, I know that it is not true in my case. If I could turn back the hands of time, I wouldn't have done all the things I did to you, to hurt you. I would change all of it. I now know what I had and what I lost. If someone walked up to me right now and said I could have my loving Kim back if I let them cut my arm off, I would cut it off myself and not think twice. Sorry. I lay here looking at your side of the bed, embracing your pillow every day and night, wishing it was you. I know I hurt you deeply, and for that I'm very sorry. I promise you, I did not do it with any sort of intent or any purpose. I do understand why you left. Kim, as long as I don't have you in my life, I'll be praying for my mistake. I had the most beautiful heart when I had you. I cannot think of anything I can do to make it up to you or any way to show you how I am sorry. If you know of any way, please let me know, and I'll do anything you ask of me. I'll always love you, even if it has to be from afar. I miss you. Your touch, your face, your smile, the way you would hold me and make love to me. I miss the way you would pull me into you when I would roll over as I was sleeping. I miss your smell, your lips, you waking me up in the morning with a kiss and saying, good morning, sleepyhead. I love you. I miss the way you used. I miss the way you used to introduce me to everyone as your wife. I just miss all of you. You're all that makes sense to me. I have not tried to contact you because I want to honor your wishes. You said if I really loved you, I would not contact you. So again, I'm trying to prove my love to you, even if that means I have to promise myself to sleep every night, being without you. I keep taking myself back to the time when we were happy, just so I can have something to hold on to. But then I find myself right back in reality, which I call my hell, where there's no Kim. I hear the words of this song. I love so much. I think of you. I would give anything I own. I give up my life, my house, my home, to have you once again, just to touch you once again. And the letter goes on and on, but you see that she recognizes that, because I notice a lot in life people don't take responsibility for their consequences. People will make up excuses, oh, because you did this or you did that. But the one thing about Karen, she takes responsibility and she lets Kim know, look, I know I did this. I know I messed up. But to read the book, you find out why she's the way she is, why Carrie's all messed up. It's because of her mother. People don't think about the consequences or the actions that you put out can cause reactions with other people. And you can mess up somebody's world that way, just because we want our way or we want some people to do certain things. And in that book, the one thing was, even though Carrie's mother messed with her all her life, the one thing that cost her all that in the long run was, her mother came to where they were living out in San Diego because, they had moved away for college. And she had just found out through Kim's mother that they were a couple. Now, Kim's mother was okay with it. She knew her daughter was lesbian. She didn't care as long as her daughter was happy. But Carrie's mom, on the other hand, she had a problem with it. She drove all the way from L.A. down to San Diego to get her and told her to pack her stuff, let's go. You're not living in sin. Now, this is what kills me. This is the same woman who neglected her child from day one, okay? Never took her to church. So what does she know what's living in the sin? And if you take somebody out of their situation, of the truth that they're feeling, and you put them in a situation that they don't feel or they don't love that other person, just because they're opposite sex or because you picked that person, isn't that a sin too because you're lying? Because last I checked, sin was a lie. So these are the things that I put in my book for people to recognize. Own up to what you're doing, Look at what you're doing. Don't make it up because you think it's okay, because you're worried about the neighbors, that the neighbors may think, or you think you half-assed, excuse my language, know about the Bible or church. I believe the LGBT community, people truly know how God made them inside. And sometimes I think, people say to me all the time, God is testing you. Trying to see if you're a sinner, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you'll be a lesbian. So I think God's testing you to see how you treat me and others by the way he made us. And that's just my opinion, but I'm going to stick to it. So all the consequences of what Carrie went through, she lost a lot. And I mean a lot. You'd have to read this whole book to get through it to understand. And while Kim was gone and away and hurt and crushed, she did run into, she didn't run into, she saw Carrie from a distance. And at the time, Carrie had moved to New York with Kim's mom because she had nowhere to go after the breakup. She was losing her mind, and she was trying to kill herself and whatnot. And so, the mother was out there doing a play. That's why they were all out in New York, and Kim was out there because her mother wanted her with her while she was going through all the pain because she had such a breakdown with the whole Carrie thing. So because they all went to opening night separate, the mom went to do her show and sent a car to pick up Carrie to come to the show and Kim on her own, but Kim and Carrie had not seen each other until the night of the play. And they didn't see each other face to face. It was when Carrie saw at the end of the play, while it's clapping, she sees this silhouette go up to the stage, and then she sees the person hand some flowers to her mom as a way of congratulating for a great performance. And she realizes Kim. So she turns around and tries to come out of the crowd because she's up in the balcony. She said, I come out of the balcony, run downstairs to the whole crowd and try to find Kim. But by the time she got down there, Kim was gone. And she was heartbroken of that. She wanted to see Kim. She wanted to embrace her. She wanted to, because she saw that when you see somebody that you love so much and you haven't seen them that long, it all comes back to you. All that love comes back to you. So she was supposed to go to a party afterwards with April Springs, the after party. And she just, because she missed Kim, she was so heartbroken. She asked to take taxi home and stay in the condo by herself, which is where they were staying. Kim was separate at a hotel. And when she gets home, she goes in her room, and on the nightstand, while she's heartbroken, she sees an envelope that says, to Carrie. So she picks it up and opens it, and it's a letter from him. And I'm going to read that letter to you right now. Dear Carrie, when I saw you get out of the car in front of the box office, all the love I had for you came back. I saw that face and I remembered you. I remembered all those days and nights we spent together. That was the happiest time in my life. I wanted to run up to you and embrace you. I really wish it hadn't ended, but I guess everything comes to an end at some point. I have to say, you make a beautiful pregnant woman. You look lovely tonight. Yes, I know you're pregnant. My mother had to tell me in case I ran into you at the play, so I wouldn't be in shock. I think you will be a beautiful mother. Just take all that love you have inside of you and give it to your baby. That was the one thing I loved about you. You always had a big heart. Never forget that. I know you must think that I hate you, but that could not be further from the truth. I still love you, and that will never change. It's just that our relationship changed, and I can't deal with that right now. Maybe someday I'll get over it and be able to see you and talk to you. I've talked to Michelle, and she says you sound great. I'm happy for you. If that's true, I just wish I could have been the one who kept you happy. I know this has to be hard on you, and you must be scared. But don't worry, my mom will help you 100%. She loves you. She loves having you there with her. She tells me you can't wait until her. She told me she can't wait until her grandchild is born. You know, when she first told me that you were having a baby, I must say I was upset. But then I thought about it. It's your life, and you have moved on, as I'm trying to do. But that doesn't make it hurt any less. Do you remember when we used to talk about having kids and how we were going to raise them to love everyone? We were going to have two, one named Kim Jr. and the other named Carrie Jr. Wow, we were crazy together. I miss those days. I miss you. With that said, I want to thank you for all the happy years that you gave me. I'm just sorry it had to end this way. I'll never forget you, and as I said before, I'll always love you. Thank you for the dance. I have to go. My mom just called and told me you're on your way home and says you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better soon. Take care. Love always, Kim, the one you used to know. Now, I think the reason I wrote that letter for the book is the simple fact that I was chilled to go back to my first love and write her. Well, I did write her, I'll be honest. I did write her a letter. And I sent it to a friend to send it to her, but I know for a fact my friend didn't send it to her. So, but I wish now that I'm older and more mature, I could write a letter and have her sit down. My bigger wish would have, actually, I would love for her to read at least the dance, because this book is dedicated to her. And the reason I dedicated it to her, because I needed her to know that's how much she meant. This book is filled with nothing but emotions, lessons learned, lessons cost. The dance will take you on a roller coaster ride, up and down of what we call real life. And I love that if you go to Amazon.com and you read the reviews on this book, people, I love what they're saying about it. Not just that they love it, but how they can identify it. They can identify with the love. They can identify with the mistakes. They can identify with the lessons. But in all, they identify, and somebody finally put their heart out there so that people can understand how brokenhearted you can. Now, one thing about love, especially your first love, somebody you truly love, it's hard to get over them. Sometimes you'll never get over them. Like, I will never get over my first love. I would kill to have that time back, go back in time. Of course, we all say we would do things differently, if we could do it all over again. But there was this question that was asked of me some years ago, and I never thought about it. But my best friend at the time asked me, she said, if you could have that relationship all over again, knowing it was going to end the same way, would you do it? And the honest truth is, yeah. Because I loved that girl. I loved the time I had with her. I loved her. She taught me a lot, even though she was younger than me. And there's something she didn't teach me, but she taught me what unconditional love was. She also showed me, how things can change. People can fall out of love. But that leads back to where I got the title of the book. Now, the book was just supposed to be called The Dance. The dance is a metaphor for the journey, for those of you that do not know. The journey of your life or something that you're on. Each thing can be a journey. It could be a wrong relationship, could be a journey. Another relationship could be a journey. But this is a metaphor for the journey that they go on, these two young ladies, Kim and Carrie. The dance, I got that from a song from a very famous country singer, Garth Brooks. If you YouTube it, you can look it up. It's called The Dance. That's all it's called. And it says, looking back on the memory of the dance we shared beneath the stars above. For a moment, all the world was right. But how could I have known that you would ever say goodbye? And he asked the question. He even stops the middle of the song and he asks, he says, if you knew you could do it all over again, it was going to end the same way, would you do it? Some people, I get different answers when I ask them, because you have to think about it realistically. If you have kids in a relationship and somebody says, oh, you can do it all over again, would you do it? And then immediately, no, no, no. And then you have to stop and go, okay, wait a minute, go back, think about it. You have children out of this relationship. That means you wouldn't have your children. And that's when they go, oh, no, because I wouldn't have my kids. And then you get to some people that, like me and mine, we didn't have kids because we were two females back then. Wasn't even out the closet. It was before all that. And I know that I would do it all over again. I don't know about her. I never got to ask her that question. Um, but it was a good 4.5 years we were together. Kim and Carrie together for a long time. So that was a journey, and I think that I made it last long because when you're in a relationship, some people will say, "Oh, we've been in a relationship for a long time, 7 months." 7 months, especially with two females, can feel like a lifetime. So to me, 4.5 years just felt like a big, huge part of my life. And I think that's probably why I took the book and made it be in a relationship for over 10 years. Um, but it's a journey. I promise it's a journey. The second thing, let's move on to the second book. Now, where do you go? That's the question. You have to ask yourself this. Once you've been in a deep relationship, without moving on to the next person and just trying to pretend like you're with somebody and accept it, how do you deal with your feelings? Do you even deal with them? Because I find that a lot of people don't deal with their feelings. I don't care if you're straight, gay, black, white, male, female. Um, what they'll do is they'll take what we all call the luggage and move it into the next relationship. Now, I'm not one to do that because everything's separate. My thing is this: I go into a relationship genuine. If I feel like you're not being genuine, then I'm just going to play you as much as you play me until I can walk away. Because eventually I'm going to walk away. I'm going to give you my heart and my soul. Um, but if you're not treating me the same way, then it stops. And you won't realize that until you see me gone, and I did do that. Now, Kim, on the other hand, that's where this book two comes in. It's called Kim's Story After the Dance. Part two, it leads off it starts where the other book, The Dance, left off. And once again, without giving away too much of what happens at the end of the dance, um, Kim has a very hard time dealing with her feelings. And one of the things she does is she's so hurt that Carrie is gone that she, just on the drop of a dime, she can be in the middle of a conversation with someone and she begin to cry. And no one, didn't know what to do other than to hug her or, caress her arm or rub her back. Her mom tried really hard to be there for her. But, when you have those feelings inside, it seems like no one in the world can save you. So she did a lot of praying to God, trying to get this out of her. And there was one night, like I said, Kim comes from money, so she lives this big mansion. She's out by the pool when back in LA, and her mom, Vanessa and Michelle had come to visit, so they were there, but they were up in the room. And one night, and then her mom was out on a date, so Michelle, like I said, is upstairs with Vanessa, and Kim decides to go upstairs, put on her bathing suit, and decides she's going to take a night swim at this beautiful backyard, gorgeous backyard. But that just goes to prove it doesn't. You can be in a mansion, a palace. If your heart is broken, it's no different than living in a cardboard box. And she puts that out there, and she knows that. And there's a part where she gets in the pool and she swims. She does a couple of laps. And as the more she does the laps, the more emotional she gets. So then she takes herself and she swims down to the bottom of the pool. And she screams without opening her mouth. She screams that inside underwater scream. And then she comes up to the top and she's crying. And she goes to the stairs and she's crying. And she's asking God, why? Why would you do this to me? Aren't I not a good person? I don't understand. And she sits there crying where her mom just happened to come back from her date when she sees Okay, sorry, people. I got disconnected somehow, some way. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying, where she's talking to her mom, her mom, she asked her mom, her daughter walked up, her brother walked up, and she started to rub her back, and she said, "What's wrong, honey?" And she's like, "Mom, aren't I not a good person? Am I not good enough for anyone? What did I do wrong? Why is God punishing me? You don't understand what I'm feeling." And her mother says, "It's not about what you've done as a bad person. You're not a bad person. You're a great person. You're a wonderful person." And she says, "God is not punishing you. Sometimes things just happen." It's basically her message. And she says, "Mom, you don't understand what I'm feeling." And then she has to catch herself because Kim grew up with just her mother. Why? Because not because she had a deadbeat father. Because when Kim was 2 years old, her father died of a heart attack. Before that, this man loved her. He loved her to death. And he just showed her off to the world. And you guys are learning about that in more of the stories, on the last book, actually. And when he did that, it became attached, and then he died. And, of course, the mother was heartbroken because this was the love of her life. This was the man that she loved. As a matter of fact, she kind of went through the same thing that Kim went through, except for, she lost her virginity to her husband. This was the only man she had been with, and she was a famous actress back then. She was just very cautious because of the way she grew up. Now, so she had to catch herself, and it took Kim a moment to realize what she just said to her mom. "You don't understand." And she just kind of looked and she apologized. She said, "Mom, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. You do understand. You lost Daddy, and that's when they really start to do that. We've been through the same thing bond, and they were already close. It wasn't like Kim was some spoiled brat. Yeah, sure, she gave Kim all lots of nice things, but she also recognized that that was not her world. She didn't need to get the Mercedes. She didn't need to be in pictures. She didn't need to do the whole Kardashian or Paris Hilton thing. She just wanted to be loved. She didn't even like the whole Hollywood thing, to be honest. She just actually wanted to find somebody she truly loved, which she did with Carrie, and she was hurt, and she didn't understand why God took her away, her love away. She was just, was trying to understand. So she went through all these different stages of, 1 minute she'd be okay, and then, a couple of weeks down the line she'd be crying and, not understanding, and it hits her heart because that's what your emotions do. You can be having a good day, you keep yourself busy, but as soon as you stop and you sit down, you take a moment, it all hits you. And don't add any alcohol to it because that's just going to enhance it even more. Those are for the people that are out there that find themselves drunk dialing their exes. That's the worst. When you get in that feeling, that's the worst thing you can do. Kim does drink. She's well known for drinking wine, as you guys are learning in book 2. And the great thing about her is she has such a great support system around her. Michelle and Vanessa end up moving to L.A. because Vanessa gets a job offer. She's a lawyer. And they become like a little family. And so with her having this great support system around here, things start to get a little better. But, like I said before, once somebody has your heart, they're always going to have your heart. So she goes through some ups and downs with that. And then Michelle and Vanessa will become very strong characters in book 2. After the dance with Kim and her mom, they start to go through their trials and tribulations while Kim is going through something. I'm not going to say what it is for those of you guys that haven't read book 1 or book 2 yet. You'll have to read it for yourself, but it gets pretty deep. And so you're getting to know these other characters, and this is intentional because I want you to get to know Michelle more, and I want you to get to know Vanessa more because their books come out. Book 3 is the third book that comes out. Well, it's already out. It's called Michelle's Story, Trying to Find My Way Back Home. She and Vanessa go through trials and tribulations. They go through their ups and downs. They go through life because that's just part of life. No one's ever going to live happily ever after as far as everything's good. I mean, yeah, maybe you can be in a relationship for years and you can die with that person. But it doesn't mean that you're not going to go through ups and downs, and you have to learn to forgive. And one of the things that I learned about Michelle as I was writing her character is I saw her like I see a lot of people in life who go through the, oh, I'm not going to take responsibility for what I did kind of character until you realize that, hey, if I don't realize and wake up right now, I'm going to lose this person. This is the person that I love. This is the person that I want to spend my life with. And you fought every other obstacle to keep this person, yet when you make the mistake, you're not trying to own up to it, you know. And then you have the responsibility of Vanessa saying, well, what part did I play in this? You know, because it takes two to tango, to be honest with you. And people don't look at it that way. They look at it, okay, one person messed up and, you know, and they cheated and it's all their fault. But what part did you play? I'm not trying to say that you made somebody go cheat, but what part did you play to make this relationship go up and down the street or up and down the road? And how much do you own up to it? You know, and so Michelle is, like I said, is a character that I put out there because I want people to realize their mistakes. Along with myself, I made a lot of mistakes too. And I want people to start seeing it in their face so that they own up to it and they realize it. Or maybe if they see it up front, maybe they'll stop them from making those mistakes and realize what they have when they're in love. They have the gym. If you got two guys together and they realize, hey, he ain't going nowhere, I'm going to go cheat, you know. Maybe if they see this character, because there's a lot of men that read my stories too, maybe they'll recognize it ahead, you know. Maybe some straight guy who got his buddies that's encouraging him, come on, man, go ahead. Your girl ain't going to find out. Maybe he'll realize, because the dance shows you true love. It's unconditional love. It shows you that love that everybody wants. But after about after the first mess up, most people don't believe in it anymore. But love is out there, and you can get it. But you can't get something that you don't know what it is. That fairy tale, there are fairy tale loves out there, but also remember what fairy tales is, good and bad. So it's not just always all good, 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 good. You look at something like Nemo, Finding Nemo. That's one of my favorite stories. I love my favorite animation. Actually, matter of fact, I'm just going to put it out there. Finding Nemo is my favorite animation, okay? Now, even though it's my favorite, they went through ups and downs. Nemo got lost. Nemo tried to show off and do what he thought he would do. Nemo could have lost his life because he didn't listen to his dad. Well, he was very fortunate to get back home, and he was okay in the end, as we all know, whoever watched Finding Nemo. But like I said, up and down roller coasters. Sometimes we have to listen to other people as far as lessons learned. What I like to do is I like to listen to people that are older than me, and I'm going to tell you why. They've already been there, done that. Now, you don't necessarily have to listen to your parents because a lot of times we make the mistake by looking at their lives and going, well, you ain't got it like this. You ain't got, why would I listen to you? Well, sometimes you can look at them and say, hey, you know, okay, maybe they are telling me how not to do it their way, how not to end up that way. We're not thinking that way, and that's where we need to think, depending on if they're changing which direction they're going now. You have to think positive. Get away from the negative people. And that's the one thing I loved about Kim. And the dance, everybody came at Kim. You got a young woman who's beautiful. She's got money. Her mother is famous. Kim is loving. She treats her woman like she is gold. Who wouldn't want Kim? But guess what? All these women coming at her, she deflected them because she knew what she wanted. She was the one truth. She was the one who knew what she wanted and knew how to keep it in her eyes. So those are some of the lessons we can learn by what is true love. All she could see was Carrie. She couldn't see nobody else. She had girls in her flowers. She had girls in her drink. She had girls that would hit on her behind Carrie's back. Some of these people were Carrie's supposed friends, okay? And she still showed no interest. These are things she could have got away with, but that's not what she wanted. It was about what she wanted. She wanted Carrie. She had Carrie, and she was going to do her best to keep her. And that's the one wonderful thing. So I think everybody out there, not everybody, just about anybody who's read my book, the two main things they tell me they want: a girlfriend like Kim and a mother like Kim, because everybody's so madly in love with Kim. And the other thing they all told me, they wanted to kill Carrie's mother just by the way she treated her. You know, and that's the thing. I need people to recognize that. Again, when people treat you badly, especially your parents, it can cause a reaction, and they still won't take responsibility for it. The parents will not. They'll just keep going to because it's the way they were brought up. And we need change, people. We need to start treating our children better. We need to start treating our sisters and brothers better, our friends better. We just have to start treating each other better, you know. In a time when the world is blowing up stuff and shooting up people, I'm writing about love. Because I don't want to write about blowing up things. I don't want to write about the bad stuff because I want the world to change. And they say, whatever you want, put it out in the world. So I'm putting love out in the world. And that's what I'm trying to do. But don't mistake. Don't misunderstand what I'm writing about has the ups and downs and it's a roller coaster. But it's also showing you, you know, hey, family. You don't have to be blood to be family. You know, you don't have to be mean because someone else is mean. You don't have to hate because somebody else hates. You can love. You can love. And that's what I write about, love. The dance, my first love. Kim's story, after the dance. What happens after you leave that? Michelle's story. What happens after you caused the problems, you made the mistake with your love? You know? And then it goes on from there and there. And I promise you, if you don't get anything out of my book, then you actually didn't sit down and read it. And one of the things I do is we have what they call a secret group for people who read The Dance My First Love. And the only way to get in there is to have a conversation with me in my inbox. And I know how I can tell when someone's read the dance. And it's always a trick. People always try to get in. Like, oh, what'd you think of the book? Oh, I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. You know, and then I go, what do you think about the ending? Oh, it was wonderful. I loved it. I loved the ending. You know, and so I won't respond to what I just said on that one, but when people tell me certain things about the ending, I know whether or not they actually read the book. And I think if I could, because this book, this story, The Dance My First Love, is so important, if I could, I'd give away a copy to everybody just so they'd read it, but I can't afford to do that. So with that said, tell you what I will do. Tonight, I am going to give away a free copy, a free signed copy of The Dance My First Love. And all you have to do, I have a number picked out. 1 second, let's see what's going on here. Oh, I'm sorry, people. I'm trying to. Okay, I'm going to pick a number, and with that number, if you can call into the number that we have posted on my page, call in and you get that number right, you will win a free copy of The Dance My First Love. Okay? In the meantime, let me give you guys my info on my website. It's KWeb. It'll show you all my stuff. It's a bunch of stuff on there. It's K. You just put in K as in the letter K. C as in A. I mean CATO, like my last name, Cato webs.com. CatoWebs.com. Okay. Again, that's KCATO webs, WEBS.com. When you come onto the first page, of course, it'll welcome you, and it'll show you a lot of people who have read my book. Don't forget, you guys, if you read my book and you have a copy of it, send me a picture of it so I can post it on my website. You can be a part of the gang, part of the family. One of the things I want to do, I would love, I'm trying to put together some other things, but for right now, I would care for Hollywood to take the dance and make it into a movie. Now, I promise you, if Hollywood did this and put it together with some Adele music, there wouldn't be a dry eye in the movie. Not one dry eye. If you think I'm kidding, go to my website. Again, it's kwebs, K-K-O Webs, KCATOWEBS.com. And just go to the reviews. If you don't read those reviews, go to Amazon.com. Look up Christy Cato or look up The Dance My First Love. And that whole title, because somebody else has the book called The Dance. That's why I had to add the My First Love in it. And look at all the reviews. Read them. And they'll tell you exactly. You waiting for somebody to write our story? Well, here it is. No one has written a book like this. No one has written LGBT book, love story like this before. I've written something that touched on something that everybody can identify with. My web page, I just gave my web page up. Okay. Also, if you go on my page and scroll down to the second thing, you'll see where you can go on Christopher's, Chris, her website, and you can check out if you're there. 1 second. Oh, there. Let's make sure it's the right one. Oh, no, it's the third one down. It gives you the rules and everything, but if you tap on it, it takes you exactly to the page. Another Night Poet Forum 2015. And just tap on that, it'll take you directly to that page. I also have a Twitter page if you want to tweet me. That is called The Dance Twitter page. Making sure I'm giving you guys all the right information. Yeah, it's The Dance My First Love on Twitter. Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes.
Who am I speaking with?
This is Empress Love.
I'm sorry, this is who?
Empress Love.
Interest Love?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm great. Thank you for calling in. Did you have a question?
Oh, I was just chiming in and checking everything out. No questions so far.
Okay, and did you want to take a shot at trying to win a copy of my book? Or have you
What do
already read it?
I need to do?
I'm sorry?
I said, what is it that I need to do? You say take a shot at winning one of your
Yeah,
books.
well,
What is it?
I'm thinking of a number, and whoever gets the number right, I'll tell you what, I'll even give you a little help. It's going to be between the number 1 and 30. How about that?
Okay, I'll pick 25.
25? Okay, we're going to get whoever the closest. Let me write that down. Okay. All right, so we'll see. By the end of the night, whoever gets it, either gets it or gets it closest, will win a copy. You haven't read The Dance My First Love, have you?
No, no, ma'am.
Okay. Are you a big reader or?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I love
Okay.
to read.
Oh, great. Okay. So hopefully either you'll win or you'll get a copy and read it.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so glad you called in. Just so you know, this is the first. I don't know how much of the interview you've heard. It's first of a 8-book series. It started as a 7-book series, but eventually people wanted to know more about one of the main characters, so I had to write the 8th one. And I'm still in the middle of writing it, but only 3 of them are out. I don't know. Did you have any? You just want to hang out? You don't have any other questions?
Well, I look forward to reading the series. I'm just chiming in, like I said, so I'm just checking things out to see, what's going on. If I have any questions that arise, then I will be sure to ask.
Okay. Are you on my page also?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay. Would you like to be on my page? I think I have one open file.
I would love to.
Okay. If you send me a request, I will accept it. There we go. Another thing I wanted to let people know that I do write short stories, and I have like 2 short story books out. One is It's a book with 3 different stories. My short stories aren't so short, but they're all
Mm-hmm.
LGBT world. Again, lessons learned, but also it'll take you. They're all at journeys, different journeys. My short stories, though, I do have to warn you, they are erotica. That short story book, the one with the 3 stories. And then I have another short story that's, again, not so short, called "Beating a Stud at Her Own Game." That's also on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon. But when
Okay.
I first started writing, there were a lot of people who wanted to read my book, to get my book, but they couldn't afford it because, like, recession hit and everybody lost their jobs along with myself. I understood that. So what I started doing to kind of give back and giving people time to take their world and escape just for a moment, is I started writing these short stories and I post them on my wall so people are reading those too. So everyone's welcome to join me for those short stories. As a matter of fact, we have a new one coming up. I believe I may post a new one tomorrow called The Artist. It's something new I'm trying. If not, then, like I said, you can get my stories on Amazon.
Okay.
They're fairly priced, so it's good, I know that people are listening in, so I'm letting them do it. You're just the only one that's talking. Someone else wants to say anything.
Hi, Christy.
Hello. Who's that, Sharon?
Yes.
Hey, Sharon, how you doing? What do you think so far? This is somebody who's read my book. Sharon, say hello.
Hello, Empress.
Hi, Miss Sharon.
Do you know Empress, Sharon?
No.
Okay. What would you, if you could say anything about my book, what would you say, Sharon, to encourage people to read them or to discourage people not to read
Oh, it'll have you on a roller coaster. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna cry. You're gonna get mad. I mean, it's
Emotional roller coaster, huh?
yes, it is a very emotional roller coaster. And once you start reading the book, trust and believe me, you're not going to put it down. And when you finish reading, you're going to want more and more and more. It's just that type of book. I mean, and
Yeah.
I'm an avid reader. I read all kinds of books. And once I started reading, I believe I started reading your short stories, if I'm not mistaken. And then that's when I found out about the book. I don't know if it was vice versa. Somehow I end up in, how long have I been a follower of Christie's right now? Like over 4 years now? Has it
it? Yeah,
been 4 years?
probably.
Yeah, it's been over 4 years because I was still living in Michigan then when I first started following you. So I don't know if it was like a short story that I started reading of yours before I actually got the book. I'm not for certain. I can't remember. That was 4 years ago.
Facebook used to tell us when we became friends, but it doesn't do that anymore. But anyway, okay, so no one else called in and wanted to guess. Sharon, you already have a copy of all my books. Anyway, so I tell you what, this is what I'm gonna do, Empress. I need you to inbox me ASAP. You are the winner of the copy. The number was 27 because the 27th is my birthday. I have to sign off this thing. I just been told. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the free copy. So go ahead and inbox me so I can get all the information and get you the copy of the book, okay?
Ma'am, and thank you
Well, you
kindly.
got to tell her your name so she can inbox you.
Yeah, Christy Cato.